Apparently Seiko feels to be Seiko until the end, no matter the production year, and sometimes even their icons are poorly finished. I'm Andre, and join me in this Japanese journey. We have a legend to review. Seiko started the diving journey in 1965, where the famous 62 Mas was born, a thin small diver watch with only 150 meters depth rating. However, they continued to innovate and to push the limits of technology by launching the 6215010 in 1967, which was an improved diver watch with better capabilities, being today known as the grandfather of the Marine Master 300M. And in 1968 something unusual happened, when the company received a letter from a Japanese professional saturation diver. In that letter he complained that the Seiko diving watches were often filled with helium and lost their crystals in saturation environments. And as a result, the engineers of Seiko, who read this letter with great interest, realized the problem and decided to produce something else. A watch that could withstand all the problems of professional diving. Ikuo Tokunaga and his team started to develop a new watch in 1968 in order to create the perfect professional diver tool, and this effort took them 7 years. In the meantime, in Europe, the helium gas problem was already addressed by Rolex with the Sea Dweller, the Doxa Sub 300 and the Omega with their Ploprof. In parallel, the first Tuna had 600 meters depth rating and landed on the market in 1975 with the reference 6159-7010. This tool had a high-end, high-frequency automatic caliber beating at 10 Hz at 36,000 bph. A thing to remember, the Seiko Tuna, the first edition, was an instrument built with the help of 20 new patents, like the titanium monocoque case, the ceramic protective shroud, the L-shaped gasket, the vented strap and many more. And after 3 years, Seiko introduced the new quartz-powered Tuna, the reference 7549-7009. Seiko continued to invest in this instrument by adding a titanium case and a titanium powder coated shroud in order to minimize scratches during hard use. This material, nitride plated titanium, had a characteristic gold tint, and because of that this Tuna was named by the fans the Golden Tuna, measuring 48mm. And our hero, the Darth Tuna, as it is known today, was launched on the market in 2005. And this time the popular gold tone coating was replaced by an all-black look appearance because of the DLC coated titanium, and this model had a ceramic shroud, hex screws and a redesigned dial. And yes, today we are looking at the exact model, the 2005 Darth Tuna, and you will see due to the materials used how well preserved it is. And identity wise, not sure how many of you liked, owned or experienced a Tuna, but I can tell you that this is indeed a unique piece. The Tuna for me is the definition of practicality. I feel it like a tool tailored for divers that serves the function, not especially the looks, and for that Seiko added special materials and technologies to achieve this goal. Maybe not a daily diver, but definitely this Tuna offers a unique way to appreciate the craftsmanship and the way the early engineers envisioned the Japanese divers. The Tuna is a contradiction of what we've experienced so far. We know that a bigger object needs to be proportionally heavier, full of durable materials that will guarantee the toughness expected. It is big and rounded but lightweight. It feels like it is empty inside. It features a thin native strap that makes you think you are handling a very sensitive watch. Overall, I like how the dial is composed. The cardinal points are differentiated by the minute dots through size and shape. The 6 and 9 loomed dots are bigger than the rest of them. Also, the iconic Seiko triangle at 12 o'clock breaks the rhythm of the other indexes. Another accent that adds character to this tool is definitely the acrylic insert, where we can spot the depth of the immersive indexes, and sadly only the triangle has loom. Would have been cool to have the entire bezel loomed. And believe it or not, this Darth Tuna, even though it is considered an elder having over 20 years, besides the aspect the amount of loom applied is still lighting like a torch. It is true it fades quicker, but it still can be used as a trustworthy tool. And macro wise, we can spot the way Seiko was finishing the dials back in the 90s with a glued logo and the patina that settled on the hands, but overall feels like a mouse slept on the dial for a few years. It has a lot of imperfections or scratches. However, it still reminds me of the Seiko Alpinist from 2020, the limited edition SBBN011, a good looking watch with a mint cold sunburst dial, but with awful finishing on the hands. and all of a sudden I concluded that Seiko in general does not put too much accent on the finishes and feels like they are investing in appearance, packaging and stories, increasing continuously the prices. Strategically, Seiko changed the way they want the people to perceive the brand. Apparently, even though the automation of the machines and the shipment fees decreased, the cost of the Seikos are still increasing. My impression is that they want to leave behind the Seiko for everyone brand, aiming to start somewhere close to $1,000 as entry levels, and for that they came up with these new mid-range models and they tied them to the throwbacks of their glorious past: the budget 62 Mas, the budget Marine Master 300, the budget Apocalypse Now, or the budget Alpinist. I also concluded that the perfectionist engineers are working for Grand Seiko and the clumsy ones at Seiko. But moving from these frustrations, if you still know how to navigate through the noise of the artificial Seikos, you can find indeed valuable non-prospects divers such as the Marine Master 300, the SBBN011, a fine old school tuna, a Sarb or a Sumo. And yep, the SKX is not on this list. As a wristwatch profile, we are looking at a rounded monocoque titanium body that measures 48mm with a height of 15mm and a lug width of 22mm. The monocoque case and the shroud ensures 1000 meters depth rating and a thick sapphire crystal that has a beautiful pink hue. And inside we have the caliber 7C46 in all metal. With high torque tolerances, it has 7 joules and it is equipped with low powered circuits. This movement perfectly fits the watch, being durable and trustworthy. On the wrist, because the watch is rounded even at 48mm, even though I have a relatively small wrist at 7 inches, but for the fact that the lugs are on the bottom and the straps are starting beneath the case, you'll have the feeling that it stays above the wrist. Definitely you will perceive it different than a regular wristwatch. And after all, this is why it is called the tuna, because you literally have the feeling that you have a tuna can on your wrist. And as final thoughts, even though we are talking about a quartz watch, which is not necessarily the first choice of many people, I carry a lot of respect for the old school Seikos, especially for tools tailored based on users' feedback. The Seiko SBBN011, aka the Darth Tuna, will qualify as a brave beater, taking the position number 29 in the Hall of Fame, even though it has a battery inside, just because it wasn't made as an affordable version of an automatic, but because Seiko back then believed that tuna as a tool needs to remain safe and accurate and to serve the purpose of a tool, and definitely it did across its history. And after all, this is a charm of a tuna, a tool recreated for divers that carries a quartz movement. And pretty curious I am to know, what do you think about this tuna platform? Why would you choose one and why not? Please let me know in the comment section. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing for future creative updates. Thank you very much. And until next time, be brave but stay safe.